In the cutthroat world of Silicon Valley, they told her she was too old, too expensive, and too female. So they fired her after 15 years of dedication. Pause. What they never expected was that this 55-year-old woman would engineer the most devastating revenge in tech history. Welcome back to Whispers of the Mind, where we uncover the psychological forces behind life's most powerful stories. Today's story isn't just about revenge. It's a masterclass in resilience that will change how you think about career setbacks forever. Imagine dedicating 15 years of your life to building something revolutionary, only to be discarded like outdated technology. That's exactly what happened to Kira Jennings when her company decided that at 55, she was past her prime. But what happened next shocked Silicon Valley to its core. Within months, Kira's former company lost millions in market value, while she emerged as the industry's newest power player. I'm going to break down exactly how she transformed rejection into the opportunity of a lifetime, using psychological principles you can apply to any setback in your own life. By the end of this video, you'll discover the critical moment that turned Kira's devastation into determination, the strategic alliance that changed everything, the unexpected price she paid for her revenge, and the surprising lesson that ultimately brought her true fulfillment. This isn't just another success story. It's a psychological blueprint for turning your greatest disappointments into your defining moments. Chapter 1: The Fall. The words sliced through the air with surgical precision, each one landing like a carefully calculated blow. As part of our comprehensive restructuring efforts and new strategic direction, we've made the difficult decision to eliminate your position, effective immediately. Marjorie Thompson, the newly appointed CTO, delivered the news with practiced detachment, her perfectly manicured fingers drumming against the mahogany conference table. At 38, she was everything the tech industry worshipped: young, ambitious, and ruthlessly pragmatic. Her sleek black blazer and immaculate appearance stood in stark contrast to my comfortable cardigan and practical shoes. I felt my stomach drop as reality set in. 15 years. 15 years I'd poured my blood, sweat, and code into TechVantage. I had built their flagship product, Neurosphere, from the ground up. The neural network algorithm that powered it was my creation, my baby. And now it was being taken away from me. We'll need your security badge and company laptop before you leave the building, Marjorie continued, not meeting my eyes. HR has prepared a comprehensive exit package. The unspoken truth hung in the air between us. You're too expensive, too experienced, too female. At 55, I was a relic in Silicon Valley's youth-obsessed culture. Too old to be an asset, but young enough that retirement wasn't an option. I see, I replied, my voice steadier than I felt. And what about my team? A flicker of discomfort crossed Marjorie's face. Some restructuring will be necessary there as well. Translation: they were firing everyone who had worked closely with me, everyone who might remain loyal to my vision rather than hers. As I walked back to my office, my former office, to collect my things, a cold wave of anger washed over me, eclipsing the fear. They were about to learn that Kira Jennings wasn't just an algorithm builder. She was a force of nature. Have you ever been underestimated because of your age or gender? How did it make you feel? And what did you do about it? The severance package sat on my kitchen table like a ticking bomb. 2 weeks pay for every year of dedicated service. 30 weeks total. A slap in the face disguised as a golden parachute. I pushed it aside and glanced at the college brochures scattered nearby. Emily, my bright, ambitious 17-year-old daughter, was dreaming of Stanford. Computer science, like her mother. The irony wasn't lost on me. I had spent my career paving the way for women in tech, only to be discarded like yesterday's technology. How was I supposed to make her dream a reality now? The estimated cost of attendance at Stanford was over $80,000 per year. Our savings would cover some, but with my sudden unemployment, Mom, is everything okay? I looked up to see Emily standing in the doorway, her dark hair pulled back in a messy ponytail, concern etched on her young face. So perceptive, just like her father. Just reviewing some paperwork, sweetheart, I lied, quickly sliding the severance documents into a folder. You're home early, she observed, her keen eyes narrowing slightly. Just a change in schedule, I replied, forcing a smile. How was school? She launched into a story about her AP computer science project, her hands moving animatedly as she described the algorithm she was developing. I nodded and asked questions in all the right places, but my mind was elsewhere, calculating and recalculating our financial future. Later that night, Tom found me at the kitchen table, surrounded by bills and financial statements, my laptop open to job listings. Kira, he said softly, placing his hands on my shoulders. Talk to me. My husband, a gentle soul, a professor of literature at the local community college, would be supportive, of course. But I could already see the worry etched on his face, the unspoken fear that our comfortable life was about to crumble. They fired me, I said simply, the words tasting bitter on my tongue. After 15 years, they just discarded me. Tom's hands tightened on my shoulders. Those bastards, he whispered, uncharacteristic anger coloring his voice. As I explained everything, the restructuring, Marjorie Thompson's cold dismissal, the paltry severance, I could see the calculations happening behind Tom's eyes. His professor's salary was respectable but modest. We had always relied on my tech industry income to maintain our lifestyle, to save for Emily's education, to plan for our retirement. This wasn't just about losing a job. It was about losing my identity, my security, my future, our future. But then something snapped within me, a spark of defiance, fueled by years of suppressed frustration. I closed my laptop with a decisive click. I'm not going down without a fight, I declared, my voice steady and resolute. Tom's eyes met mine, a mixture of concern and admiration in his gaze. What are you planning? I don't know yet, I admitted. But I know this. I will not be a victim. I will be a warrior. When was the last time you had to reinvent yourself after a major setback? What gave you the strength to move forward? Chapter 2: The Discovery. Fate, or perhaps a disgruntled IT employee with a conscience, intervened 3 days later. I was sorting through my personal email, deleting promotional messages, and updating my LinkedIn profile when I noticed it. An email from TechVantage, sent to my personal account rather than my now deactivated company one. The sender was unfamiliar, J.W. Martinez at techvantage.com. The subject line was blank. Curious, I opened it. There was no message, just an attachment. internal_strategy_neurosphere_2.0.pdf. My finger hovered over the mouse. This could be nothing. A mistake, an errant email, a misdirected attachment. Or it could be something more. I clicked. The document loaded, revealing a detailed presentation. Neurosphere 2.0, strategic roadmap and market position. The TechVantage logo gleamed in the corner, alongside the current date. This was recent, created after my termination. As I scrolled through the slides, my breath caught in my throat. This wasn't just a roadmap. It was a gaping hole in TechVantage's carefully guarded secrets. An internal memo outlining a meticulously crafted plan to steal my algorithm. Neurosphere 2.0 will feature an enhanced version of the core algorithm, legally circumventing Jennings' original patents through strategic code modifications. Legal has confirmed that with the proposed changes, we retain full ownership rights without attribution to the original developer. Marketing will position Neurosphere 2.0 as an entirely new development, emphasizing the innovative vision of our current leadership team. My hands trembled as I read on. This wasn't just about corporate greed, it was about intellectual theft, about stealing my legacy, my life's work. They were planning to erase my contribution, rewrite history, and claim my creation as their own. The shock was visceral, like a punch to the gut. But as the initial wave of disbelief receded, something else took its place. Cold, calculating anger. They thought I was too old, too naive to notice. They were wrong. Terribly, tragically wrong. I printed the document, then forwarded the email to a secure account I'd set up years ago for sensitive communications. Evidence secured, I began to plan. Have you ever discovered someone was trying to take credit for your work? How did you handle it? And what would you do differently now? The next morning, I called Jordan Chen, a patent attorney I'd worked with years ago when filing the original patents for my algorithm. Kira Jennings, he said warmly when I identified myself. It's been a while. What can I do for you? I explained the situation, my voice steady despite the storm of emotions inside me. They can't do this, I insisted. The patents are ironclad. Jordan's silence spoke volumes. Aren't they? I pressed. They should be, he replied carefully. But tech patent law is complex. If they modify the algorithm substantially, it would still be derivative of my work, I interrupted. Yes, but proving that in court would be expensive and time-consuming. And TechVantage has deep pockets and an army of lawyers. I felt a chill, so they could get away with it. I didn't say that, Jordan corrected. I said it would be challenging, but not impossible, especially with the evidence you have. The internal document was damning, but it wasn't enough. I needed more concrete evidence of their plans, proof that they were knowingly stealing my intellectual property. What are my options? I asked. We could file a preemptive injunction, Jordan suggested, or approach them directly with what you know, negotiate a settlement. Both options felt like surrender. I wanted more than money. I wanted justice. I wanted to reclaim what was rightfully mine. There's another option, I said slowly, an idea forming in my mind. What if I took my algorithm elsewhere, developed it further, beat them at their own game? Jordan hesitated. You need to be careful about non-compete clauses in your employment contract. My contract expired 3 years ago, I replied. They never updated it when I became director of AI development. They were too busy promoting younger talent to worry about the paperwork. A mistake that would cost them dearly. In that case, Jordan said, a note of excitement entering his voice, you might have more freedom than you think. As I hung up, my mind was already racing, considering possibilities, evaluating potential allies. I needed someone with resources, someone with a vested interest in seeing TechVantage fail, someone willing to take a risk on a 55-year-old woman with a revolutionary algorithm and a score to settle. I needed Gregory Sullivan. When faced with injustice, do you prefer to work within the system or find creative ways to fight back? What factors influence your decision? Chapter 3: The Alliance. Precision Systems occupied a gleaming glass tower in downtown San Francisco, its lobby a testament to modern minimalism and corporate success. As I stepped off the elevator onto the executive floor, I straightened my charcoal blazer and adjusted my glasses. The receptionist, a young man with a carefully cultivated beard, looked up. I have an appointment with Mr. Sullivan, I said, my voice conveying a confidence I didn't entirely feel. Kira Jennings. Recognition flickered in his eyes. My name still carried weight in certain circles, despite TechVantage's efforts to diminish me. Of course, Ms. Jennings. Mr. Sullivan is expecting you. I was ushered through sleek corridors adorned with abstract art and motivational quotes about innovation and disruption. When I reached the CEO's corner office, Gregory Sullivan himself opened the door. Kira Jennings, he said, his voice a deep baritone that filled the room. I've been looking forward to meeting you. Gregory Sullivan, CEO of Precision Systems, TechVantage's most formidable rival, and a man who thrived on calculated risk. He was everything Victor Lawson wasn't: sharp, decisive, and willing to play dirty to win. At 60, Sullivan was one of the few tech executives who embraced his age. His silver hair was immaculately styled. His bespoke suit, a subtle declaration of wealth and power. He gestured to a leather chair positioned strategically beside, not across from, his massive desk, a psychological trick to create a sense of alliance rather than opposition. Coffee, he offered, already signaling to his assistant. Black, thank you, I replied, settling into the chair and crossing my legs, projecting calm assurance. Sullivan studied me with keen blue eyes, assessing, calculating. I must admit, I was intrigued by your request for a meeting. The architect of Neurosphere wanting to talk to precision systems, that's not something that happens every day. Former architect, I corrected. As of last week, a slight smile curved his lips. Yes, I heard about that. TechVantage's loss. Their intentional decision, I replied evenly. They've decided that experience is a liability, not an asset. Sullivan leaned back in his chair, steepling his fingers. Their mistake. I've always found that youth brings energy, but experience brings wisdom, and wisdom is in short supply these days. The coffee arrived, providing a momentary pause in our verbal sparring. I took a sip, organizing my thoughts, preparing my pitch. I assume you're here because you're looking for a new position, Sullivan said, cutting to the chase. But I'm curious, why precision systems? There are many companies that would snap you up in a heartbeat. I'm not looking for just any position, I replied. I'm looking for a partnership, a chance to develop something revolutionary. Sullivan's eyebrows rose slightly. Go on. I placed my tablet on his desk and pulled up a series of diagrams and code snippets, tantalizing glimpses of my algorithm, enough to demonstrate its potential without revealing its secrets. Neurosphere is built on my neural network architecture, I explained. But what TechVantage doesn't know is that I've been developing an enhanced version on my own time, a version that makes Neurosphere look like a prototype. This wasn't entirely true. The enhancements existed mainly in my mind, theoretical improvements I hadn't had the resources to implement. But I knew they were possible, knew I could make them reality with the right backing. Sullivan scrolled through the diagrams, his expression revealing nothing. Impressive. But I assume there are complications. TechVantage is planning to release what they're calling Neurosphere 2.0, I said, pulling up the leaked document. They're attempting to reverse engineer my work, to claim it as their own new development. Sullivan's eyes narrowed as he skimmed the document. Bastards, he muttered, an echo of Tom's reaction. But legally, my non-compete has expired, I assured him. And while they own the implementation of my algorithm in Neurosphere, they don't own the underlying concepts or any enhancements I develop independently. Sullivan set down the tablet and studied me. What exactly are you proposing, Ms. Jennings? A partnership, I replied. I develop my enhanced algorithm exclusively for precision systems. You provide the resources, the team, and the platform to bring it to market before TechVantage can release their bastardized version. And what do you get out of this arrangement? Full credit for my work, a significant stake in the project, and the satisfaction of watching TechVantage realize what they've thrown away. Sullivan smiled, a predator scenting blood in the water. Revenge is a powerful motivator. Justice, I corrected. I'm not looking to destroy TechVantage. I'm looking to reclaim what's mine, my work, my reputation, my legacy. He nodded slowly, considering. It's a compelling proposition, risky, but potentially very rewarding. He paused. You understand that bringing you on would make waves in the industry. Victor Lawson isn't known for taking humiliation gracefully. I'm counting on it, I replied with a thin smile. Sullivan chuckled. I like you, Kira Jennings. You're not what I expected. Most people underestimate women over 50, I said. It's their mistake, one I don't intend to make. He extended his hand. Let's talk terms. As we shook hands, I felt a mixture of triumph and trepidation. Sullivan saw the value of my algorithm, the disruptive potential it held. He offered me not just a job, but a chance to exact revenge, to reclaim what was rightfully mine, and to stick it to TechVantage in the most spectacular way possible. It was a dangerous bargain of Faustian pact. Partnering with Sullivan meant stepping into a world of cutthroat competition and questionable ethics. But I was desperate, and desperate women, I knew, were capable of anything. Have you ever allied yourself with someone you weren't sure you could trust to achieve a greater goal? What were the risks and rewards of that decision? Chapter 4: The Race Against Time. The clock became my enemy, and code became my weapon. My new office at Precision Systems was everything my space at TechVantage had never been: spacious, state-of-the-art, with a stunning view of the bay. But I spent little time appreciating the amenities. From the moment I officially joined Precision Systems' Special Projects Division, I was consumed by a singular purpose: to beat TechVantage at their own game. According to my sources, former colleagues who had remained loyal to me, TechVantage was aiming to launch Neurosphere 2.0 in 6 months, which meant I had less than that to develop, test, and perfect my enhanced algorithm. I requested a small, dedicated team, just 5 engineers, the best Precision Systems had to offer. Sullivan, true to his word, gave me carte blanche to select anyone I wanted. I chose based on talent, not age or pedigree. My team ranged from Zane, a 23-year-old coding prodigy with a penchant for energy drinks, to Eleanor, a 58-year-old systems architect who had been overlooked for promotion at her previous company. "Why me?" Eleanor had asked during our initial meeting, her gray hair pulled back in a severe bun, her expression guarded. "Because you understand systems at a fundamental level," I replied. "And because you have nothing to prove and everything to gain." She had smiled then, a flash of steel beneath the reserved exterior. "Just like you." We worked relentlessly, often late into the night. I spent every waking hour refining my algorithm, enhancing its capabilities, making it faster, more efficient, and undeniably superior to anything TechVantage could ever dream of producing. When I did go home, usually well past midnight, I tried to maintain some semblance of normal family life. Emily was busy with her senior year activities and college applications, often too preoccupied to notice my exhaustion. Tom was more perceptive, his concerned glances following me as I gulped down coffee at breakfast or fell asleep on the couch while trying to help Emily with her homework. "You're pushing yourself too hard," he said one night, finding me at our kitchen table at 3 a.m., surrounded by printouts and my laptop. "I have to," I replied, not looking up from my screen. "There's too much at stake." Tom sat beside me, gently closing my laptop. "Kira, look at me." I reluctantly met his gaze, seeing the worry etched in the lines around his eyes. "This vendetta is consuming you," he said softly. "I understand why you're doing it, but I'm concerned about the cost." "It's not a vendetta," I protested, though part of me knew he was right. "It's about justice, about not letting them steal what's mine." "Is it worth your health? Your relationships?" He gestured to the family photo on our wall, the 3 of us smiling on a hiking trip last summer, a lifetime ago. "Emily misses you. I miss you." Guilt squeezed my heart. "It's temporary," I promised. "Once we launch, things will calm down." Tom looked unconvinced, but nodded. "Just remember what you're fighting for," he said, kissing my forehead before heading back to bed. His words haunted me as I reopened my laptop and returned to work. What was I fighting for? Justice? Revenge? Validation? All of the above? The ghost of my grandma's words echoed in my mind. "Don't get mad. Honey, get even." Grandma Rose had been a pioneer in her own right, one of the first female electrical engineers at a major aerospace company in the 1960s. She had faced discrimination and belittlement throughout her career, but had never let it defeat her. "The best revenge is massive success," she used to tell me. "Show them what they missed out on." That's what drove me forward, through the exhaustion and the doubt. I wasn't just developing an algorithm, I was making a statement. Age and gender were not limitations, they were assets. Experience was not a liability, it was my secret weapon. As our launch date approached, the pressure intensified. Sullivan started appearing in our workspace more frequently, his keen eyes assessing our progress, his questions becoming more pointed. "We need to be first to market," he reminded me during one such visit. "TechVantage is accelerating their timeline." "How do you know that?" I asked, suspicion flickering. A ghost of a smile crossed his face. "I have my sources, just as you have yours." I didn't press further. In the high-stakes world of tech development, corporate espionage was an open secret. Everyone spied on everyone else. It was just part of the game. But as I watched Sullivan leave, a sense of unease settled in my stomach. I had allied myself with a man whose ethical boundaries were, at best, flexible. Was I becoming like him in my quest for justice? I pushed the thought aside. There would be time for moral reckoning later. For now, I had a deadline to meet and a point to prove. When pursuing an important goal, how do you balance your ambition with your personal relationships and well-being? What signs tell you that you've gone too far? 2 weeks before our scheduled launch, disaster struck. I arrived at the office to find my team huddled around Zane's workstation, their expressions grave. "What's wrong?" I asked, setting down my coffee. Eleanor stepped forward. "Someone accessed our servers last night. They copied parts of the codebase." A cold weight settled in my stomach. "How much did they get?" "Not the core algorithm," Zane assured me, his usually energetic demeanor subdued, "but enough peripheral systems to get a good idea of what we're building." "TechVantage?" I asked, though I already knew the answer. Eleanor nodded. "The intrusion came from an IP address that we've traced to a shell company. But the digital fingerprints match TechVantage's cybersecurity team." I should have been angry, outraged at this violation. Instead, I felt a strange calm descend. This was confirmation that we were on the right track, that what we were building was worth stealing. "They're scared," I said, a grim smile forming. "They know we're ahead of them, and they're getting desperate." "What do we do?" asked May, our UI specialist. "Do we change the launch date?" I considered our options. Delaying would give us time to shore up our security, but it would also give TechVantage more time to catch up. "No," I decided. "We accelerate. We launch in 1 week, not 2. A ripple of surprise went through the team. "Can we be ready that soon?" Eleanor asked, voicing what everyone was thinking. I looked at each of them in turn, these brilliant minds who had joined me on this crusade. "We have to be. This is our moment to show the world what we're capable of." I paused. "What I'm asking isn't fair or reasonable. I know that, but I'm asking anyway. Who's with me?" One by one, they nodded, determination replacing concern. 1 week, Zane said, cracking his knuckles. "Let's make history." The next 7 days were a blur of activity. We worked around the clock, fueled by determination and copious amounts of caffeine. I barely went home, catching naps on the office couch when exhaustion overtook me. Tom brought me fresh clothes and home-cooked meals, his silent support a lifeline in the chaos. Emily visited once, her eyes wide as she took in our operation. "This is so cool, Mom," she whispered, watching lines of code scroll across my multiple monitors. "You're like a tech superhero." I hugged her, surprised by the sudden tears that sprang to my eyes. "I'm just trying to do the right thing, sweetheart." "By showing those TechVantage jerks what they're missing?" she asked with a grin that mirrored my own. I laughed, startled by her perception. "Something like that." On the eve of our launch, as the team made final preparations, I stood at the window of our project room, looking out at the city lights. We had done it, created something revolutionary, something that would change the industry. Sullivan joined me, his reflection appearing in the glass beside mine. "Nervous?" he asked. "Determined," I corrected. He nodded approvingly. "The press release goes out at 9 a.m. By noon, TechVantage's stock will be in freefall." "That's not why I'm doing this," I said, though part of me relished the thought. Sullivan's shrewd eyes studied me. "Isn't it?" "At least partly." I didn't answer, but my silence was confirmation enough. "There's nothing wrong with wanting revenge, Kira," he said quietly. "Just don't let it consume you." Words of wisdom from the man who had built an empire on corporate rivalries and strategic vendettas. The irony wasn't lost on me. As he walked away, I turned back to the night sky, to the stars barely visible through the city's glow. Tomorrow, everything would change. The world would see what a 55-year-old woman could do when underestimated and pushed too far. I was ready. What drives you more, the desire to succeed or the fear of failure? How does that motivation shape your actions and decisions? Chapter 5: The Rising Phoenix. Precision Systems snags TechVantage's star innovator. Silicon Valley stunned by Jennings' defection and revolutionary new AI platform. TechVantage stock plummets as Precision Systems unveils NeuroCore. The headlines screamed across tech blogs and financial news sites, each more sensational than the last. The press conference, orchestrated with Sullivan's flair for the dramatic, had been a masterpiece of corporate theater. I stood at the podium, cameras flashing, as I unveiled NeuroCore, my enhanced algorithm packaged in a sleek platform that made TechVantage's offerings look outdated and clumsy. NeuroCore represents the next evolution in artificial intelligence, I explained to the assembled journalists, my voice steady despite the butterflies in my stomach. It processes complex data sets up to 70% faster than competing systems, with unprecedented accuracy and adaptability. The technical specifications I shared drew gasps from the tech reporters in the room. The live demonstrations, showing NeuroCore solving problems that had stumped other AI systems, cemented our triumph. When a reporter from TechCrunch asked the question everyone was thinking, "Ms. Jennings, how do you respond to rumors that you developed NeuroCore as revenge for your dismissal from TechVantage?" I was prepared. "NeuroCore isn't about revenge," I replied, my smile composed but determined. "It's about innovation and recognition, about ensuring that credit goes where it's due and that experience is valued, not discarded. If that challenges certain corporate cultures and practices, so be it." The response earned approving nods from female journalists in the room. By evening, I was being hailed as a hero for women in tech, for professionals over 50, for anyone who had ever been pushed aside to make way for younger, cheaper talent. The media painted me as a vengeful genius, a brilliant mind who had been wronged and was now ready to unleash her fury. Social media exploded with memes and hashtags. Hashtag don't mess with Kira. Hashtag revenge coding. Hashtag TechVantage fail. The stock price of Precision Systems soared, while TechVantage's plummeted. Victor Lawson, TechVantage's CEO, issued a terse statement about unfounded allegations and proprietary technology, which only fueled speculation about what had really happened. Marjorie Thompson, the CTO who had fired me, was conspicuously silent. As I left the press conference, surrounded by security and Precision Systems PR team, my phone buzzed with a message from Tom. "You did it. We're so proud of you." Attached was a selfie of him and Emily, both giving thumbs up, Emily wearing a t-shirt she'd custom-made that read, "My mom rocks the tech world." The sight brought tears to my eyes, happy tears for once. This victory wasn't just for me, it was for them too. For my daughter, who would enter a tech world slightly more welcoming to women because of what I'd done. For my husband, who had supported me through the darkest times. That night, we celebrated at home with takeout and champagne, laughing over the more outrageous headlines and social media posts. "Mom, you're trending on Twitter," Emily exclaimed, scrolling through her phone. "Kira Jennings is the tech revenge queen we all need. You have fan art." I nearly choked on my champagne. Fan art? Of me? She turned her phone to show me a stylized digital illustration someone had created. Me as a warrior queen, lines of code swirling around me like weapons, standing triumphantly over a fallen corporate logo that looked suspiciously like TechVantage's. Tom raised his glass. "To the Revenge Queen," he toasted with a grin. I clinked my glass against his, feeling lighter than I had in months. "To new beginnings," I corrected. Because this wasn't an ending, it was just the start. I had proven my point, reclaimed my reputation, but the real work was just beginning. Have you ever experienced the sweet taste of vindication after being underestimated? How did you handle your moment of triumph? The weeks following our launch were a whirlwind of activity. NeuroCore was an unqualified success, with orders pouring in from companies eager to implement the groundbreaking technology. Sullivan was ecstatic, his gamble having paid off beyond his wildest expectations. He rewarded my team generously and gave me unprecedented autonomy to expand our division. "You've earned it," he told me during a private dinner at one of San Francisco's most exclusive restaurants. "I knew you were brilliant, but I underestimated your impact." A rare admission, I observed, sipping the ridiculously expensive wine he'd ordered. He chuckled. "I'm not too proud to acknowledge when someone exceeds my expectations. It happens rarely enough. As we discussed the future of NeuroCore and potential applications, I felt a sense of genuine camaraderie with Sullivan. Despite his ruthless reputation, he had kept his word to me, had given me the platform and resources I needed to succeed. Perhaps I had misjudged him. Perhaps this alliance wasn't as Faustian as I had feared. Back at Precision Systems, my team was growing. The success of NeuroCore had made us the company's most prestigious division, and talented engineers were clamoring to join. One by one they came. My team, the brilliant engineers who had been the heart and soul of my work at TechVantage, the ones who had been discarded along with me in Marjorie Thompson's restructuring. Reinvention, my former lead developer, was the first to arrive, having negotiated an early exit from his severance agreement. "They're floundering without you," he reported with poorly concealed glee. "Neurosphere 2.0 is a mess. Thompson doesn't understand the underlying architecture, and no one dares tell her." Others followed: Maria Gonzalez, Dr. Amit Patel, Jason Kim. Like me, they had been dismissed, their experience deemed less valuable than their salary cost. I welcomed them all, rebuilding my old team within the new one, creating a culture that valued innovation and experience equally. We were a diverse group, spanning ages, backgrounds, ethnicities, and specialties, united by a common purpose: to build something revolutionary. "It feels like coming home," Maria confessed during her first week. "But better. Here, we're appreciated." I understood exactly what she meant. At TechVantage, we had always been fighting for recognition, for resources, for respect. At Precision Systems, we were celebrated, our contributions acknowledged and rewarded. It was intoxicating, this sense of validation and purpose. I threw myself into expanding NeuroCore's capabilities, developing new applications, pushing the boundaries of what AI could do. I was so caught up in our success, in the vindication of proving TechVantage wrong, that I missed the first warning signs. It started with small things, Sullivan insisting on adding certain features to NeuroCore that seemed oddly specific, requesting access to parts of the codebase that weren't relevant to current projects, bringing in consultants who asked probing questions about data processing capabilities. When I questioned these decisions, his explanations were always plausible, always couched in terms of market demand or technical requirements. And I, caught up in the thrill of success and vindication, chose to believe him. Then came the government contracts, lucrative deals with agencies whose names were obscured behind acronyms and security classifications. "This is big, Kira," Sullivan enthused during a private briefing. Kira's journey reminds us that our greatest setbacks often contain the seeds of our most significant transformations. When she was fired at 55, it wasn't the end of her story, it was the beginning of her legacy. The psychological principle at work here is what psychologists call post-traumatic growth, the profound personal development that can emerge from life's most challenging experiences. Ask yourself, what perceived failure in your life could actually be the catalyst for something greater? What skills and wisdom have you accumulated that others might underestimate? Remember, it's not about the revenge itself. It's about reclaiming your narrative when others try to write you off. If Kira's story resonated with you, I invite you to join our community here at Whispers of the Mind. We explore the hidden psychological patterns behind success, resilience, and transformation. This is where we go beyond surface-level inspiration to understand the deeper mental frameworks that separate those who bounce back from those who break down. Subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss our weekly explorations into the psychology of extraordinary lives. Our next video reveals how a single decision-making framework used by world-class performers can transform your ability to overcome obstacles. Share your own comeback story in the comments below. Our community thrives on these powerful exchanges of wisdom. This is Whispers of the Mind, where we transform life's challenges into profound understanding. Until next time, remember, sometimes being underestimated is your greatest advantage. Have you ever experienced ageism or discrimination in your career? Or have you engineered an incredible comeback after being underestimated? Share your story in the comments below. And if you know someone who needs to hear this message of resilience and determination, share this video with them. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to never miss another inspiring story of triumph over adversity.